When Valmiki used the word Vimana, it only means that it is a tall building.
Which Ramayana should they start from?
When Arjuna reached the particular elevation in the Vimana, you can see the sky turning black. There is no way anybody quite can imagine when you are going up in the sky, it will become black. That is a real experience.
According to astrology and astronomy, there have been such precise details about Rama's birth that, he was a Cancer ascendant, Jupiter and Moon were in his first house.
The terminology Ramasetu is absent inside the Valmiki Ramayana. They use the term Nalasetu. The oldest name of this island is Sinhala and Tamraparni Dvipa. So these Gangetic people, whenever they need a kind of very advanced construction, they will use Harappan engineers.
It is mentioned that Ravan goes to Yamapuri. So where would this Yamapuri be? He studied the moon at ISRO and then turned his gaze towards the lost rivers of our civilization, from decoding the Saraswati river to building holograms of Devatas. Jijith Nadumuri Ravi sir is reimagining how we see India's epics such as the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, not as myths, but as maps of ancient civilization. And it is with great pride that I welcome Jijith Nadumuri Ravi sir. Namaste sir.
Namaste.
Welcome to Happy Alien Life. Sir, from lunar orbits at ISRO to mapping ancient rivers of the Ṛgveda, how did you end up doing that?
Yeah, it's a kind of long journey, or maybe a little bit interesting, because before joining ISRO, I had kind of interest in the studying of the Ramayana and Mahabharata. So just like any kid in the 1970s or 80s, I have seen this serials of B.R. Chopra and this Ramanand Sagar Ramayana and Mahabharata, and then Uncle Pai's Samar Chitra Katha, everything. So that interest about the ancient history was a lot in my childhood, etc. But then when I was in ISRO, I was also happened to get into the library of ISRO, where there is a very special interest study of ISRO remote sensing satellites, which is focused on the river Saraswati. So the entire the hydrology of the river Saraswati from the mountains, Himalayan mountains, up to the ocean. So that is completely traced. All this satellite maps, everything available in the satellite maps, and that kind of study I was focused and I was able to see those in the library books. Again, it reignited my interest in looking at the ancient rivers, and Saraswati is definitely the most major river mentioned in the Ṛgveda, and definitely it has turned my interest towards the oldest book that is even older than our Ramayana and Mahabharata, that is Ṛgveda and its rivers, especially the river Saraswati.
Now, when you said you watching Ramayana and Mahabharata on TV, especially directed by director B.R. Chopra, ignited your interest in these epics. Actually, a lot of people think what is shown in the epic is the true Ramayana or true Mahabharata. But there are many versions of the Ramayana, right? Like in North it's different, in South it's different. Then in Thailand also there is a different version of Ramayana. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, yes. So yeah, definitely once we passed that stage when we just watched the Ramayana and Mahabharata in the television serials. So we definitely, for example, I have delved deep into the study of these two texts. So as you rightly pointed out, the main problem is the different versions of the Itihasas. Compared to the Ṛgveda, definitely it has got, currently there is only one Shakala version of the Ṛgveda, so that we don't worry much about different variations. But compared to that, if you look at Ramayana and Mahabharata, you have southern recension, that is Valmiki Ramayana itself have multiple variations of southern recensions that is being studied in places like Kerala, the Grantha based, and then you have the northern recensions, and then there are variations both in the east and west. Exactly similar kind of situation for Mahabharata. And the other one you mentioned about is even much bigger variation, because apart from the Valmiki's version of Ramayana, you have the rendering of this Ramayana by later authors, like starting with Jain Ramayana and then Kamba Ramayana in Tamil Nadu. In Southeast Asia, there is Ramayana. So, as a researcher who is studying into the oldest, so the oldest version matters to me. So, of course, we make a filter like, okay, not any other Ramayana, but only Valmiki's Ramayana. Like that, we make a filter, for example. And once you have that, then you have to deal with the southern recensions of Valmiki Ramayana and northern. So there is something called critical edition. So this is a kind of a long project. It was a very painstaking project of 25 years that has culminated in this around 1970s and 80s. Most of it just before my birth as well. So Mahabharata is a longer project of around 50 years. It started before the Indian independence in 1925 and ended around 1975. So these are called the critical edition projects, where they assemble all these different manuscripts of variation, Mahabharata variations or Ramayana variations, and then they collect all the manuscript versions and the different versions of it, and decided, like it's a large number, around 600 to 1000 number of scholars working for 50 years. That means a huge number of man hours of work. And final result is a very well-defined text, which is actually considering all the variations in different regions of India. So you get a critical edition of Mahabharata, which is around 50 years of project, and then a critical edition of Ramayana, which is around 75 years of project with thousands of people working on it. So we are basically sitting on top of that scholarship, the current whatever scholarships we are doing.
That's an immense amount of scholarship actually. But isn't Mahabharata the longest religious book in the world?
Yes. It is. Mahabharata is the longest among all the ancient literature in the world. Yeah. We do have some numbers coming for some similar kind of an epic in Kazakhstan, but nothing of the even only few 600 or maybe some 700 verses are available. Yeah. Which claims, I mean, in that book's appendix, it claims there is more number of slokas, but then we don't have anything. That's completely lost. So Mahabharata is the largest epic, and it's 4 times larger than Valmiki Ramayana. And Valmiki Ramayana itself, with 18,000 verses, is larger like Iliad and Odyssey. So you can see how the Greek epics Iliad and Odyssey compare with Valmiki Ramayana, and 4 times of that it is Mahabharata.
So if somebody wants to embark on this journey and read the Ramayana, which Ramayana should they start from? Should it be Valmiki's Ramayana, Tulsidas Ramayana, Ramcharitmanas? Which one would you suggest?
Yeah, that's an important question. So especially as far as a researcher is concerned, like people like me who will focus on the chronology of the historical Rama or the geography of Rama's contemporary lifetime, then we have to, there is no other choice other than go with Valmiki Ramayana, because that is like identified to be the oldest version. And in that itself, because we are focusing on the oldest information, because whenever you are defining and formulating a theory or a pattern in the Rama's travel, you have to get the oldest version of the data, so you have to go with the Valmiki Ramayana critical edition. But if your focus is on the religious narrative itself, then there is no such condition, because you have, because for example, when you are reciting the Valmiki Ramayana as part of the Diwali or other tradition, in Kerala there is a tradition of Ramayana Masam. So for that we will go with the traditional or very much attuned to the devotion, that is a devotion to Rama, that is very much pronounced in Tulsi Ramayana. Similar in in Kerala, that is the Ezhuthachan, southern Ramayana, actually the Ramayana of this Ezhuthachan, that is he is the like similar to Tulsidas, he is the the person who have popularized Valmiki Ramayana in the south, other than that Kamba Ramayana in Tamil Nadu. So then, if your objective is the devotion to Rama and also understanding the narratives mentioned in the Valmiki Ramayana, all that magical like episodes, then you should go with Tulsi Ramayana or Kamba Ramayana or these other versions. But these are authored after the 9th century. Tulsi Ramayana is, for example, authored in 15th century when the Islamic invasions were happening. So they have a little bit late in terms of the amount of information they contain. But of course, these are all very much close to the heart of the devotees, like that.
And how old is Ramayana?
Ramayana, it depends upon the chronology. So there is, even within the Valmiki Ramayana, that is the critical edition, which I am actually is my input for my research, which is the like available oldest information. Within that, there are information which is contemporary to Rama, and there are information that has been thematically added into it. Like Ramayana underwent a lot of evolution from the lifetime of Rama himself towards like there is layers. I can see the layers of information which is added during the Mauryan period, the Sunga period and Gupta period. So you have 4 layers. There is a pre-Mauryan layer, the Mauryan layer, and then the Sunga layer and the Gupta layer in the Valmiki Ramayana. And there is a core layer, which is like the actual period when Rama and Valmiki lived. So, okay, this is all subject to the chronology that we are believing, or the chronology we actually subscribe to. So, the chronology I subscribe to is based on the evidence-based analysis, which means Rama is using a chariot, the horse-driven war chariot is used. So, there is a certain chronology in which this particular technology has emerged. Like, for example, your mobile phone, Samsung phone, mobile phone, you know, it is very clear, it is emerged after 2009, or it is in the second decade of the 21st century. So, if somebody says this particular ancient person used a mobile phone, Samsung Galaxy mobile phone, you know it is 2009. So, similarly, if Rama have used a horse-driven war chariots, that has to be later than 2020 BC, because that is the time when the war chariot has emerged. That technology of the vehicle technology of using the chariot driven by horses came around 2200 BC. So, in my chronology, the contemporary lifetime of Sri Rama is around between 2200 BC to around 1800 BC. So, that is the period we can say the oldest part of Valmiki Ramayana existed, like that.
So that would be how many years ago? 14,000 years ago?
That will be around 4,000 years ago.
4,000 years ago?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, so you are saying it was in which BCE?
As I mentioned, right, this technology of these horse-driven war chariots, it come around 2200 BC. Okay. 2200 BC means around 4,200 years ago. And that is the period in which we can locate anybody who is using the war chariots of horse-driven war chariot. So, because before that, somewhere around 3,300 BC onwards up to 2,200 BC, we have an older technology. Something like before Samsung Galaxy phones, you have Nokia phones or a land phone, like that. So, older version of a mobile phone, or that you can see. Similarly, before 2200 BC, like all the way down up to 3000, 4000 BC, you have bull-driven chariots, bull chariots. So, these are the kind of chariots you can see in the oldest part of the Ṛgveda. For example, the Dasharajna battle, where there are 10 kings clashed with one main king, Sudas, in the Ṛgveda, one of the most dominant king inside the Ṛgveda, the Sudas. So, there the troop movement very clearly mentioned bull-driven the chariots. And bull-driven chariots are the older vehicular technology, which we can see also corresponding to the Indus Valley civilization, because similar to the Ṛgvedic date we are giving is around 3300 BC to 1900 BC. that period you also see correspondingly in the same technology of bull-driven the chariots and bull-driven carts being used in the Indus Valley.
What about the Vimanas that are mentioned in the Ramayana, which are equivalent to aeroplanes?
Yes. That's an interesting question, because if for understanding the Vimana, you need to look at how the word emerged. The word have underwent a lot of transformations. So if you read my book based on the Valmiki Ramayana, the geography of Ramayana, my second book, I have looked at what is the meaning of the word Vimana. So it has two meanings. So one is actually as part of the building or construction, in you construct this tall buildings, and there the tall structure, like a multi-story structure, around seven-story structure, that is also called Vimana. So for example, it mentioned the Vimanas present in Ayodhya, Vimanas present in various other cities. So where that when Valmiki used the word Vimana, it only means that it is a tall building, the typically seven-storied building, like part of your palace, or part of the house of a very administrator, like an important person in the city. They are all called Vimanas. So that way the word Vimana is used profoundly inside the Valmiki Ramayana. People don't know about it. And second is, of course, the Vimana term is used as a terminology used for a moving vehicle. And the moving vehicle, for example, there is a very important point where Ravana comes to abduct Sita. So that may surprise the audience. In certain parts of that particular abduction scenario, the Ravana is mentioned as traveling in a chariot driven by horses. So even that horse-driven chariot is also called a Vimana. But then you have so many other verses in which it is mentioned as flying. So there is where you got that. This is about in the popular imagination. So when you say Vimana, it has got multiple meanings. One is a non-flying, a tall building. So even in today, when you for a temple, the tall structure is called Vimana. Still, it is called Vimana. So that is continuing from that ancient Mahabharata Ramayana period. The word Vimana have that meaning, and it can mean a normal vehicle which is traveling on the road, like a fast-moving war chariot. But in the poetic imagination, they will say that, okay, this vehicle is flying because it's moving very fast. Second is, of course, there is a real imagination, the Valmiki's certain slokas where he says that this is literally flying. So there are 3-4 different layers for the Vimana, where we say that it could mean to a tall structure, it could mean a normal chariot which is driven by horses, or it could mean a flying vehicle. So in these three terms we use the term Vimana. That's very interesting.
Yeah, when I read the Ramayana, and I always wondered, how did Ram actually go back to Ayodhya so quickly, especially, and we'll also touch upon Sri Lanka and Lanka in a bit. How did he actually go back so quickly? And then I read this instance where Vibhishan asks Ram to come to Ayodhya after he's won the war, and Ram says, no, I have to go back because Bharat is waiting for me. And Vibhishan said, no, you won't take that long. You can take the Pushpak Vimana, which will take you to Ayodhya within a day.
Yeah. So the poetic narrative, because when you look at the Valmiki Ramayana, it is a mix of real facts as well as there is some poetry involved in it. So this Vibhishan's like communication with this Rama, in that particular, it comes towards the end of the Yuddha Kanda. So Yuddha Kanda is the 6th Kanda inside the Valmiki Ramayana, and you have a lot of poetic elements added into that Yuddha Kanda portion. But then it's a real meaning, because when I looked at into the actual geography, because there is a possibility, because there is a river that is actually taking Rama or Lakshmana, that entire party, they can move very fast inside that river. So I have explained there is a possibility of what do you call a vehicle, a navigation system inside the river, like a boat. No, that is being rendered as a I mean, poetically rendered as a Vimana, because you can move very fast inside that river to reach half of your journey. So definitely, Vibhishan's statement, we have to consider that there are methods by which Rama can move faster from Lanka to Ayodhya. That is one thing. The second is in the journey. That's very surprising, because these are my some of the findings. When they do say that this entire party traveled in a Vimana flying vehicle, but many of the places they describe it in the subsequent verses. They describe as if this entire party is traveling on the road. That evidence also we get. So we have to combine these two information. Like if it is a really like a kind of a flight, an aircraft related kind of a flight, then there is no reason why the people are described as traveling on foot with the dust coming up, all these things. So I have to look at the entire information. What I understand it is that there is a riverine travel which is rendered poetically as a kind of an aerial travel, and it happens quite often. In the Mahabharata also there is a marine battle in Dwaraka between Salva and Sri Krishna, and there also everything, all the slokas very clearly indicate it is a battle in the sea. But then the sea is poetically rendered as this sky, so that it becomes a little bit more magical. So that kind of situation also I can see many places in the Valmiki Ramayana. But I am not completely saying that these are all poetic imagination, because if you look at both the Mahabharata and Ramayana jointly, there is one instance where there is no other explanation other than that it is an aerial vehicle, where it mentioned Arjuna's lifting. Arjuna is being lifted from a mountain and taken to Indraloka. So that is one instance where they very clearly, without any ambiguity, the poet is mentioning about a travel in the sky, because it mentioned when Arjuna reached the particular elevation in the Vimana, you can see the sky turning black. The sky which is blue is turning black. And this is a real, as because I am in a space, I'm working in space technology, space exploration, etc. So I know that this is a real, I mean, you cannot imagine it. No poet can imagine it. Because unless there is a real experience of somebody going up in the sky more than 10-kilometer height. So typically your sky turns slightly blacker when you reach a height of 10 kilometer. So certainly there is a kind of aerial travel in a real Vimana, in the real sense of how you understand today. And that kind of an experience has been recorded inside the Mahabharata. But similar kind of an experience I can't see in the Ramayana with that kind of clarity. So I will leave this to the readers, like how much of the Vimana narratives inside the Valmiki Ramayana and Mahabharata, how much of it is poetic imagination, how much of it is real. So what I given, I am not giving any conclusion in my books. If anybody reads my books, in each place where the Vimana is mentioned, so to many people surprise, it is mentioned both in Ramayana and Mahabharata, right? It's not just in Ramayana, but Ramayana Vimana is very popular, but it is always there in the Mahabharata also. So in the both Itihasas, wherever the Vimana term is used, I have done the analysis and told these are the possible explanations. But as I was saying, after analyzing hundreds of such incidents, both inside the Ramayana and Mahabharata, there is one incident inside the Mahabharata where it cannot be reduced as a poetic imagination, because the real explanation is given with a very high amount of technical details about the machineries inside the Vimana, and the real experience of if a person travels in the sky with a certain, say for example, if you are traveling in normal today's aircrafts, which is traveling at the height of around 8 to 10 kilometer, you will still see the sky as blue. But this is going beyond that height, like maybe some 15 kilometer height, something like a projectile. That has really happened because that narrative is we can very clearly see inside the Mahabharata. It is called, it is in the in this Parva, this Arjuna Baigamana, like that, where Arjuna is mentioned as traveling in a Vimana towards Indraloka. So definitely our Itihasas are very much enigmatic. Even a researcher like me who have meticulously looked at the data and be in a critical manner, but we can also I cannot also reduce it 100% as pure imagination. So if that is what the concern of your audience and you, I can say that. And read the book because where I have given the full analysis of this Vimanas.
So, our books are full of concepts like, or realities like Vimanas and half human, half monkeys, a talking bear, gods like Narsimha, half human, half lion. I think skeptics then, say that it is mythology. It is not Itihasa. It is not history. What do you have to say to that?
Yeah. So see when you have see, for example, many people consider Ramayana and Mahabharata, when we say it is history, many people automatically assume that everything inside that is a history, and that is again actually creating a deviation or creating trouble us, because these are not historians, right? Like Vyasa and Valmiki, they themselves declare to be poets. They mention themselves to be kavi, but definitely they are narrating historical events, because the word Itihasa, that it happened thus, basically implies that it is a kind of a real witness account, first witness account, that Itihasa, it happened thus. Something like a reporting, like your television anchor goes and to a place and some event is happening and he or she is having a camera and reporting it. So that is the kind of sense we get in the term Itihasa. But this Itihasa has gone into a kind of a metamorphosis, which is called, it is the Kavya. So we also have the two words, Itihasa, Kavya. So Itihasa part is the history and Kavya is its transformation with when you add a lot of poetic imagination. So for example, inside the Valmiki Ramayana, the people who helped Rama is rendered as Vanaras or as you can say apes. That is the kind of how the even the original author Valmiki himself intentionally have created that narrative, because I have gone into the oldest core of the Valmiki Ramayana and still it is narrated in that manner. But then when you look at it, I got a lot of information. Just one example of Vanara I give you. So the Vanaras in the Valmiki Ramayana, they are very clearly mentioned. They are people of the Vindhyas, maybe people of the Vindhya mountains. Because all this, whenever the Kishkinda is mentioned or any places associated with the Vanaras are mentioned, they are all mentioned on the Vindhya mountains. So Vindhya is basically Madhya Pradesh. It is the central mountain inside Madhya Pradesh, and the original author Valmiki have no doubt that these people are living in Vindhya mountains. And when anybody from the Indo-Gangetic plains, that is a point of reference, that is a reference civilization, like Rama or Valmiki, they are all part of the Indo-Gangetic plain. They live in that plains of Uttar Pradesh. That is the primary area of the civilization, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. So when they travel south and they see these people with a different culture, they'll have a kind of exclamation: "Are they humans?" So that is like in Sanskritam, when you say "Are they?" it is like "Va nara." That's a question. Va means it's a question. Like in Sanskritam, when you look at somebody with a different culture, you have a kind of a cultural shock, or no, they are not looking like people of Indo-Gangetic plain. They are mountain people. They are having a different culture altogether. So then you have an exclamatory sentence. You say Vanara, are they humans? Vanara means are they humans? Like that, you will have an exclamation. So this exclamatory phrase automatically become the this become the name of that people, and it's not happened first time. Exactly like Vindhya is in the south, the northern part of the Indo-Gangetic plain, that is the Himalayas. So people who are living there, the people who are on the mountains. So for example, for the Pandavas in the Kuru Rashtra, or for Rama who live in Kosala, they are all in Indo-Gangetic Plain people. This is the reference civilization. So when they go and see people in the mountains, they exclaim, Kim Nara, are they humans? Kim Nara also means are they humans? So basically these terms are given by the people of Indo-Gangetic Plain to the people of the mountains. And similarly is the bear, the Jambavan is mentioned as a bear. But then there is a mountain called Riksha mountain, which is the adjacent to the Vindhya mountain. So Vindhya, if Vindhya is in Madhya Pradesh, the Riksha mountain is towards the south of Bihar. And Riksha in Sanskritam means bear.
Okay.
So then Jambavan become a bear and Hanuman become a Vanara. Sugriva become a Vanara. So they are two adjacent people. Just like your Kuru Rashtra and Panchala, or just like Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, or Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. No, like that you have people of India, the Vanaras, people of Riksha, the bears. So one is monkeys.
They are just normal human beings who come
Yeah,
from
yes.
that region. They are not half human and half apes.
Correct. That's what I get when I do the historical analysis of Valmiki Ramayana. I get that. I get that they are humans. They are humans, but are different in a part of a different civilization. So because all these kavi, all the poets, all the kings like Rama or Pandavas, everybody belong to that Indo-Gangetic plain, which means that the civilization extending from Sindhu River, Indus River in Pakistan, all the way up to Saraswati in Haryana, Ganga and Yamuna and Sarayu in Uttar Pradesh, and then Gandaki and then this Sadanira and Kaushiki in Bihar. This much entire region is a civilization continuity. So it is in this continuity from Sindhu River onwards up to Bihar. So you have that Pakistan, Punjab area, and you have Gandhara to the extreme northwest. That is the northwestern frontier where Pakistan is bordering with Afghanistan. There you have Gandhara, where Shakuni, everybody is there. And after that, when you go slightly eastwards, after Gandhara, you have Kekeya, where Kaige's kingdom. So that is in somewhere in the middle of the northern Pakistan. And then you go a little bit eastwards, you have Bahlika on the Bias river. And little more eastward, you have the Trigarta, that is in the Punjab region. And then go further, then you have Kurukshetra in Haryana. And after Kurukshetra, you have Kuru Rashtra, that is the western Uttar Pradesh. And you further you go east, then you have Panchala, that is after the east side of Ganga. And then you go further east, you have Sarayu river, and then Kosala Rashtra, Kosala and Kashi. And you go further eastwards, you reach Bihar, where you have kingdoms like this Malla Rashtra, and then this Videha, northern Bihar Videha, where Sita is Sita's kingdom, and then Vaishali, and then to the south Magadha, and then Angarajyam, that is where Karna was. So all these people who in the Itihasas, both in the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, they were living in the Indo-Gangetic plains. From the Gandhara, that is the northwestern Pakistan onwards, Bihar in the extreme east, where you have Magadha and Videha. So you need to have that political picture in your mind. So this is where they consider all these people, they consider that same civilization. Of course, the Westerners are a little bit skeptical, because that is why this Shakuni is considered a little bit cunning guy, and Kaikeyi from Kekeya is also considered a little bit cunning, or because of Manthara. So these Western people little bit they are cunning, or maybe they are matlabi people. No, we'll say no, they have some. Their main motive is money, finance, the artha. Whereas the people in the Kuru Rashtra or Kosala, they focus more on dharma, that is they need things to be right, rather than like taking a lot of money, I mean making a lot of money. So that is there. Otherwise, even that is a slight variation in their character, their outlook, but their entire from Gandhara onwards up to Bihar, the Videha and Magadha, they have a same civilization. But then for the first time during the Rama's lifetime, they encountered the people of the Vindhyas for the first time. That is why the Valmiki, the poet, is trying to bring these new people into the consciousness of the Indo-Gangetic plain people. Okay, then that exclamation, Vanara, are they humans? That is the first time whenever you see another civilization, you feel that whether they are also humans, because their culture is different. I mean, if I say, like, for example, when there was a conflict between Bali and Sugriva, and then Sugriva was defeated by Bali, the elder brother. He took the wife. So Sugriva's wife was become wife of Bali. And then after this, Bali Sugriva battle was over, where Rama killed Bali. Then the Bali's wife Tara became orphan. I mean, she became widow. Then Sugriva actually accepted Tara as the wife. That is, his elder brother's wife become his wife. Earlier, younger brother's wife become the wife of the elder brother. And when the elder brother died, elder brother's wife become wife of younger brother. So this kind of culture is not part of the Indo-Gangetic plain. So their way of living is more or less like how the monkeys are living, right? So there is some kind of cultural shock for the Indo-Gangetic people. So that is one reason I have put in my book. This could be one reason why they were being compared more with the monkeys, because if in a culture of monkeys, if you can see, and if you go in a forest, you can see these monkeys also does the same thing. No, they don't have that very well defined morality of partners. So they will easily switch that partnerships.
Logically speaking, as you said, Vanara meaning are they humans? It's more like a question form.
Question. Yeah.
I'm thinking perhaps maybe there was something different in their physique or physical features, which is why they asked, are they humans? Or,
Correct.
or otherwise, if it was more about nature, I mean, I'm just logically asking this question.
You are absolutely right.
Yeah. Why are they so animalistic? But are they humans is more about, could be more about, how they look or they behave or something like that?
Yes. So it is a mix of all these things. Definitely, the people of Indo-Gangetic plain, they look similar in nature. Like their facial features, everything will be the similar. But people of the mountains will be having a different look. Even within Valmiki Ramayana, Valmiki has compared the behaviors, like especially with respect to how these Sugriva and Bali treated their partners. So for that, Valmiki himself made a comment of their very amorphous nature of relationships, male-female relationships. That Valmiki himself have commented about it. So that is one of the reason why he compared them with monkeys, and that terminology continues in the entire narrative.
What about these narrations about Hanumanji flying to Sri Lanka, and he crossed so many oceans just by flying by himself? What about that?
Yes. One is that the word, so there is a word play around here, because as I said, the word used by Valmiki for the Hanuman's movement is plava. Plava means, plava is basically, it can mean swimming in the water. That is the primary meaning of it. Bhairappa, S.L. Bhairappa's novel Uttarakanda, he also have the same analysis. He has done this analysis before me, and he has also shown how Vimana is basically not an aerial flight, but most of the case it is a marine or a riverine movement. And here there is this the flight of Hanuman. He explained it as kind of a swimming. So this is kind of a frequency. Anybody who looks at the text get this information. That is how the basic movement is transformed in a poetic way into a area, like basic riverine or marine movements. The marine activity or a riverine activity is transformed poetically into an aerial activity. That is, we can see that transformations happening in multiple layers of the Itihasas. We are able to see it. So once you see it, then we can't unsee it, because now, yeah, okay, here it is thing. But then one thing I mentioned about the Vimana, there is a one irreducible kind of an episode inside the Mahabharata for the Vimana, right? Where nobody can say, right? There is no way anybody poet can imagine when you are going up in the sky, it will become black. That is a real experience. So there are certain things which we cannot say that this is poetic imagination.
So are you saying Vimanas, like aeroplanes existed at that time through your research? Or you're saying it was just marine?
I have taken it as an open-ended question because the technology evolution has a very well-defined connection. See, for example, in our own lifetime, after the 200 years of our life, we have the steam engine, and then after steam engine, slowly the technology progressed, and then even the horse cart slowly become the automobile engines, and the automobile engines itself, now you have the artificial AI also inside the automobile engine. So this transformation is actually a chain of connections, thousands and thousands of interrelated chain of connections. So you cannot have just one technology pop up all of a sudden without any previous history of emergence. So one of the possibilities of an existence of a Vimana in that ancient period, where the other people were just driving the chariots, the horse-driven chariots, etc. And it could be like there is some kind of an extraterrestrial presence that can explain it. Looking at the Itihasa and its poetic narrative and comparing it with the actual evidence we have from the 4,000 years onwards, like Indus Valley to the later to the Indus Valley, everything, we don't see anywhere that there is a technology leap happening. So one explanation, if there is an aerial vehicle, it has to be coming from some other sources. So that is what I have in my third book, Geography of Mahabharata, when I was explaining the Arjuna Vaigamana, there I have mentioned it, because there is an enigmatic region that is to the north of the Himalayas, in the Kailas Manasarovar region, where a lot of things were happening there. A lot of things which cannot have an explanation. A lot of things are there in that.
And some people argue that Ram and Krishna were also extraterrestrial beings.
That is the one argument. But see, when I look at the narrative, especially like in the Tulasi Ramayana or in the Kamba Ramayana or in the southern Ramayana of this Ezhuthachan, so there you see so much of new very magical things, but lesser amount of things are in the Valmiki Ramayana, the oldest text. So there, if you look at how Valmiki is portrayed Sri Rama, he is a perfect human being with all the emotions. Rama is crying when Sita is that Rama abducted Sita, he is lamenting like anything. And then he goes to this meet Sugriva in then Kishkinda. There are so many passages where Rama is sitting in front of a lake, the Pampa lake, and talking to Lakshmana like, I'm really missing Sita. And then he becomes sad, he becomes angry as well, right? Sometimes he becomes angry, and then he has all the emotions, like after the Sita comes back, after Ravana's defeat, when Sita comes back for the first time to meet Rama, he has all the emotions of a skeptical husband. So that is how Valmiki portrays him actually, right? So he is being described as a very raw human being. And there is no kind of where of course there are certain elements in the later layers of that avatara concept. So that superhuman nature of Rama comes in a later layer. So I don't think, but of course in another way, all of us are extraterrestrials, because when you look at all the body elements, carbon or oxygen or whatever you have, like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, everything is created in a star. So that way, all this material that constitute a human body of anybody, it comes from inside the core of nucleus of a star. That is one thing. And then there is the extraterrestrial origin of human, the life on Earth. So even 4.5 billion years ago, Earth got the basic building blocks of life. Now people are saying it came from a comet. These building blocks of life, amino acids, whatever constitute our DNA or RNA, this comes from outside, from another comet. Now there is one coming this interstellar object, 4i Atlas. which is just passing by as we speak. So these comets will bring a lot of this genetical material into the earth, and that is how we created. So in a way, we are all extraterrestrials, the human life itself.
The most asked question is the Lanka that is mentioned in the Ramayana same as Sri Lanka that we see today?
Yes. So I'll come. This is a very kind of a bitter pill for many. So in many podcasts I mentioned about it. The problem with Sri Lanka is manifold. So one is within the literature, within the text itself, Valmiki Ramayana's text itself, all the movements which are from the seashore towards this particular island, which we call Lanka, the direction is very clear. That is from north to south. So somebody need to travel from a northern seashore towards a southern island. That is the primary condition. But then when you look at the geography of the Sri Lanka versus Tamil Nadu, where there is a bridge, start from the west and you have to move eastwards. So for example, Rameshwaram is in the west in Tamil Nadu, the seashore is in the western side, and from the western seashore you have to travel eastwards along the bridge to reach Sri Lanka. So that geography is not matching with whatever is mentioned in the Ramayana narrative. Because Hanuman, even see, Hanuman flying is, of course, in certain verses we say that, but Hanuman swimming. So any whichever way, the motion is from north to south. There is a northern seashore. From there, Hanuman is moving towards a southern island. So that geography we are not getting inside in that Sri Lanka, Rameshwaram, Tamil Nadu context. We are not getting it. So that is our first shocker, I would say. First, because just like anybody, I was looking at trying to prove that Lanka is Sri Lanka. I started with that assumption, but then I get this that somebody need to give an explanation how the journey inside the Valmiki Ramayana is clearly from north to south. Even if it is Hanuman, he starts from a northern shore and move towards a southern island. That we are not getting it from when you are moving through Rameshwaram from Tamil Nadu towards Sri Lanka. That is actually eastward motion. So there is another problem. Not only that, subsequently when Rama is going to Sri Lanka, also this north to south is played out. North to southwards, not east to westwards. Sorry, not west to eastwards. So the direction of Sri Lanka is perpendicular to whatever is described in the Valmiki Ramayana. So that is one thing that I noticed. Then I explored, like, if this is not the real Sri Lanka is not the real Lanka, then what could be the real Lanka? And that kind of an analysis led me towards very little more northern geography, because see, the another point I mentioned, the Vanaras are always mentioned in Vindhya, no other place. So there is subsequent layers in which you have Hampi in Karnataka, described as Kishkinda, etc. But these are in the it's not directly mentioned in Valmiki Ramayana, but in a later Puranas, which are created during Gupta period, that kind of connections are established. But the oldest text Valmiki Ramayana says that Vanaras are in Vindhya. So the Lanka is very much close to Vindhya mountains. And there is a place where the Vindhya mountain is very close to the ocean. That is in Gujarat. There is the Vindhya mountain extend from somewhere in the eastern Madhya Pradesh all the way up to Gujarat, and the western part of the Vindhya mountain is very close to the ocean. And whatever the Angada and Hanuman and Jambavan, these three people, they went to search for Sita. When you look at their travel narrative, what we are seeing is that they were always moving along the Vindhya mountains, no other places. Exactly along the Vindhya mountains they travel. So that means there is no place inside that Angada's travel. Angada and Hanuman and this Jambavan, three main Vanaras and others. So that search party. There is a search party for searching for Sita in the southern direction. These people, the search party is, there are 2-3 adhyayas continuously mentioning the search happening by these three people. Everywhere it is mentioned that they are searching in the Vindhya mountains, no other place. That is what. So then that means that search went along the Vindhya mountain and not nowhere further south of the Vindhya. And then they reached the ocean. So which ocean they reached? It is not the eastern ocean, because the Vindhya is not extending to the eastern side. Vindhya is extending westwards into the Arabian Sea. And then that made that, so everywhere, see this, the search towards Sita is going along the Vindhya mountains and they are heading towards Arabian Sea. Then I searched in the literature and I got one thing, that starting from Ṛgveda, right? Ṛgveda have the rivers Saraswati and Sindhu draining into Arabian Sea. And if you look at the map, where they are heading towards, this Saraswati is coming from Himalayas and passing through this Haryana, and then it goes to the Pakistan along the Rajasthan border and heading towards Rann of Kutch. And that Saraswati is draining into the Dakshina Samudra. So where the Dakshina Samudra, where the Saraswati is draining, is not Kanyakumari, it is just the Gujarat ocean, the ocean around Gujarat. Similarly, Sindhu river, another important river of Ṛgveda, it goes from the Himalayas, it starts and then goes southwards and it is draining into Dakshina Samudra. That Dakshina Samudra is again that same region. So that ocean, currently whatever we call as Arabian Sea, and especially around this Karachi, Gujarat, that region is the ancient Dakshina Samudra. It is very clear, because from the Ṛgvedic point of view, the two main rivers, Ṛgvedic two main rivers, Saraswati and Sindhu, are draining into Dakshina Samudra. That Dakshina Samudra is the ocean around Gujarat. So once you understand clearly what is Dakshina Samudra, then I looked at many other literature. So in the Mahabharata it says Shoorparakha, Parashurama have used his battle axe to scare the, so you look at the wordings, Parashurama using the battle axe, Parashu, and he scares the Dakshina Samudra and created Shoorparakha. So Shoorparakha is a region to the northern Maharashtra, the coastal Maharashtra. So for example, all the regions to the north of Mumbai, and today we have some remnants of that name, Swapara, Nala Swapara, like that. So these are all remnants of the ancient name Shoorparakha, which was the name given to the northern coastal Maharashtra. So from Narmada onwards up to Mumbai, the region is called Shoorparakha.
So is it Shoorparkha or Shoorparkha?
No. Shoorparkha is different. Shoorparakha is the name of a place. Something like Kerala. No? Kerala is the region extreme south, in that Kanyakumari up to Gokarna is ancient, we were calling it as Kerala. And to the north of Kerala you have Konkana, which is where that Goa and the Konkan, southern Maharashtra, coastal Maharashtra is there. So after the Konkana, the northern side of Konkana is Shoorparakha. And Shoorparakha extends from Mumbai onwards up to Narmada. So Mahabharata is saying Parashurama reclaimed that Shoorparakha from Dakshina Samudra. So you can see there are two texts. One is Ṛgveda, where that ocean is called Dakshina, that Arabian Sea, that is around Gujarat. Of course, in the northern part of Maharashtra included, that much entire region is called Dakshina Samudra as from the point of view of Ṛgveda. Mahabharata also saying the same thing. That is in that Parashurama's narrative of reclaiming the Shoorparakha, he is saying it is reclaimed from Dakshina Samudra. So whatever we typically call as Arabian Sea, where these rivers Saraswati, Sindhu and Narmada is draining, that was more or less considered as a Dakshina Samudra in the very ancient period, from 4000 years ago, when Rama and Pandavas and all these people were living. So there is an important part, the Lanka is mentioned as as an island inside the Dakshina Samudra. So I consider it with a very lot of importance. But then it is not a Dakshina Samudra to the south of Kanyakumari, because that is a later, like that Dakshina Samudra exploration happened during the Mauryan period. So from the Mauryan period onwards, Dakshina Samudra means the ocean south of Kanyakumari, because Mauryans have explored all the way up to the South India. They know everything up to South India. So what I not only looked at how the Lanka later became identified with Sri Lanka, I went to the transformation. So in our older layer of the Ramayana, Dakshina Samudra is that ocean around Gujarat, where three main rivers, Saraswati, Sindhu and Narmada is draining. And only in the Mauryan, starting with Mauryan period, maybe a few hundred years earlier to them, we have full exploration of the entire Indian peninsula. Then the term Dakshina Samudra become attached towards the Indian Ocean. Till that time it was Arabian Sea, where these three rivers were draining. And if you look at the civilization map also, the Indus Valley civilization is centered around Saraswati, Sindhu and the southern part of it is in Narmada. So these are the three rivers. And Narmada was part of the Indus Valley civilization towards the end of the Indus Valley civilization in the late Harappan period. And that is the time period when we consider Rama has lived, the end of the Rigvedic period. Because Rama is mentioned in the Ṛgveda 10th mandala also. So that is the time period. So when you triangulate the time period, that is the late Rigvedic period, where we have so many Rishi Munis mentioned in the Ramayana actually lived during the late Rigvedic period. Vasishtha is there in the Ṛgveda, Agastya is there, Atri is there, Gautama is there. So all the Rishi Munis which Rama is supposed to have met either as his Kulaguru, like Vasishtha and Vamadeva are his Kulagurus. They were living in Ayodhya. Atri he met very close to Chitrakuda. And then there is Gautama whom he met when he was marrying Sita. So all these individuals are actually historical rishis. You can see in the 10th mandala of the Ṛgveda, where Sri Rama is also mentioned. So chronologically we can say Rama is actually a king who ruled during the 10th mandala period of Ṛgveda, the late Ṛgvedic period. So at that time, Dakshina Samudra is this particular ocean around Gujarat. So you have three rivers, Saraswati is there, Sindhu is there, Narmada is there. Between these three rivers, Narmada is flowing very close along the Vindhya mountain. It is just to the south of the Vindhya mountain. So all these things, information combined, I have found out one city, one port city inside the mouth of Narmada, which is very famous, similar to Dholavira, which is we have identified as Dwaraka. This is a very big port city inside the Harappan civilization. It is called Bhagatrao. This is a port city excavated by S.R. Rao, who also excavated Dwaraka, same person. Dr. S.R. Rao excavated the Bhagatrao port city, which is in the mouth of Narmada. And this particular port city existed, it was a major seaport during the 2200 BC period, when the horse chariot technology was evolved. So when you chronologically triangulate this particular port city, which was an island in the mouth of Narmada, and technically part of the Dakshina Samudra, because when the mouth of Narmada is, today's mouth is little more smaller because of siltation, because of the deposit of soil coming, and large part of the mouth of Narmada is now reduced to a smaller mouth. But in the ancient period, in the 4000 BC, that 4000 years ago, this mouth of Narmada was as big as Goa. So huge mouth. You can see if you look at the older maps of this shoreline of India, you can see very big mouth of Narmada. So inside that mouth of Narmada, this particular island was a port city. There was a city and there was an island. And this island matches with all the descriptions inside the Valmiki Ramayana. So I identified the Lanka with the island inside the mouth of Narmada. And from the northern shore of this Narmada, you can swim. You can swim towards this island. If you are a very strong person, like Hanuman is an extremely strong person, you have to swim for 12 kilometers. It's a very long distance swim. And that is what they were talking about, right? If you look at the Valmiki Ramayana, they were saying Angada and so many other Vanaras, how much amount you can jump. Jump basically is to swim. You want to understand it is swimming. So say one Vanara say I can swim for 100 yojana. Another person say one person say I can swim for 1 yojana. Another say I can swim for 2 yojana. But then this Hanuman is sitting very silent. He is very strong built person, but very silent. Then Jambavan said he can do that. And then because he is very strong, but he don't know about it. And then Jambavan asked Hanuman, can you do it? Then yes, I can. Like he just become ready for that, and he's swimming to that towards this island. And the direction is perfect from north to south, from the northern shore of Narmada to this.
So when you say that Ram was also in the Vedic period, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So that was Treta Yuga. Basically, Ramayana happened in the Treta Yuga.
Yes. So that is where the yugas theory. So in fact, in my this course in the Amartha University, everywhere this same question is asked. Just like there are two things happened. Like for yojana value as well as the yugas, there was a lot of transformations. So today, when we say one Chatur Yuga, it is 4.32 million years. Million. 4.32 billion means it become age of the earth, but it is 4.32 million. And if you look at this Chatur Yuga and compare it with the evolution history of our human species, they are not matching. So, for example, human species originated 3 lakhs years ago. 3 lakhs means 0.3 million year. That is very smaller than the 4.32 million years. See, 4.32 million is a bigger number, but within that, imagine 0.3 million, 3 lakhs. That is the time when the human species originated by diverging from the apes, like chimpanzees and others, and then there is Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal, all these different species humans, and Homo sapien emerged around 3 lakhs years. Then within that, around 2 lakhs years onwards, the proper nature activity, the proper characteristics of human beings originated, and they started migrating from Africa 1 lakh years ago, 100,000 years ago. That is 0.1 million, 0.1. So your Chatur Yuga is not matching with whatever is we know in the science. So for me as a scientist, that is unacceptable, right? Because if you are putting up a scientific theory, a proper history for Rama and Pandavas, it has to be like aligning with whatever we know in the evolution. So we cannot be in a separate world. We say we reject all the science and no, this is how our life. This is our world. No, don't try to interfere. We can't do that. So I examined it. I didn't stop at that. I this anomaly. People just think wish away from that. Okay, this is faith. That is science. Like that, they separate out and they don't do anything. But I did the analysis. So I found that the oldest yuga system was only 5 years in length.
5 years?
Just 5 years. One yuga is just 5 years. And it is not just that, it is mentioned in very important text of our tradition, like Vedanga Jyotisha. So Vedanga Jyotisha is basically one of the 6 angas of the Vedas. 4 Vedas, na? RIGVEDA, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda, 4 Vedas. For that, for sustaining the Vedas, you have supplementary text. So Vedanga Jyotisha is one of them. Six supplementary texts are there. One is dealing with astronomy and mathematics and time calculation. And that text is called Vedanga Jyotisha. Jyotisha means astronomy. So Vedanga Jyotisha is one of the pillars of the Vedas. Similarly, you have Nirukta, that is etymology. Then you have Shiksha, that is this pronunciation, how to pronounce the Ṛgvedic verses, how to pronounce the sounds, that is Shiksha. And you have Vyakarana, that is the grammar. And you have Chandas, that is the poetic meter used for creating the Vedic suktas. Then you have Kalpa, that is actually for creating the fire altars, etc. Kalpa sutras, etc. Kalpa. So there are 6 subjects, matter expertise you require to understand the Vedas. So in that out of the 6, you focus on the Vedanga Jyotisha, which is astronomy. Astronomy is not only astronomy, it also talks about time calculation, like yugas, everything. It talks about yugas, it talks about how do you define time, everything, like muhurta, kala, like that, everything is defined inside the Vedanga Jyotisha. And there you will see the surprising information that the ancient period, that is the period when this Vedanga Jyotisha is contemporary to Rama and Pandavas. So in the Vedanga...
You're saying that one yuga is for 5 years.
5 years.
4 yugas means 20 years.
20 years, yes. Yeah, it is very much shocking to understand, but this was the original yuga.
But there have been researchers, like I'll tell you, Arun Upadhyay ji, for example, he has come up with 26 plus definitions of yuga.
Yeah, there may be, like for example, after the Gupta era, that is the last year, that is around 4th century onwards, We have after the Mauryan period, we have the Sungas and then the Guptas. So there was an explosion of mathematics. Like Ganita become very explosive, and the amount of mathematical theories become like something very similar to modern science. So they were the Guptas were 1,000 times more advanced than the Western European for the science and mathematics. So whatever the European mathematics and science achieved in 14th century, the same thing and much more than that Guptas achieved in 4th century. So during that period, they have redefined a lot of things like yuga. What is the yuga? What is the different? They have created hundreds of definitions of yugas, etc. But when you search into the oldest text, that's what I do, right? For anything committing on anything, I look at the oldest text, especially whatever text contemporary to Rama and Pandavas. So in that text contemporary to Rama and Pandavas, we have this Vedanga Jyotisha as the oldest text, which is dealing with the yuga. So there it is very clearly mentioned one yuga is Panchavarshiya yuga, and there is a reason for it because there is a lunar calendar and a solar calendar, and they have different number of days. The lunar calendar contain around 350 days actually, some 12 days short of the solar year. So the lunar year is smaller than the solar year because one month, lunar month is 29.5 days, and one solar month is 30.5 days. That is the calculation. So when you add up 12 after 12 months constituting a 1 year, there will be a gap. So in order to synchronize the lunar year and solar year, you have to count 5 years. In 5 years, you can match the map, that is synchronize the map by adding 2 months, Athimasas.
So what I am intrigued about is if this is the definition of yuga, 5 years, then Rama and Krishna existed simultaneously in a way.
I will tell. So there was 2-3 different steps that has underwent, like the 5-year yuga and then 20-year Chatur yuga got 2-3 multiplications. One is the 20-year Chatur yuga, which is synchronized with the Saturn-Jupiter cycle, which is also 20 years. So both happen to be 20 years. That is Saturn and Jupiter both will conjunct in a particular Rashi every 20 years. So that is easy for us to calculate. My 20 year is over because Saturn and Jupiter are together. So but then they wanted, there is some precision problems. So some residue errors will come because this whatever I am saying, lunar solar calendar synchronization every 5 years, this is not absolute. There will be some residue. So they needed a bigger duration cycle, bigger than 20 years to latch onto. Then they latched onto the 60-year Saturn-Jupiter cycle. So that means every 60 years, Saturn and Jupiter will conjunct in a particular Rashi, like Kumbha Rashi or Karka Rashi, like that. Every 60 years, this will happen. So again, a visible marker in the sky in 60 years. So what they did is this 20-year Chatur Yuga, they connected with the 60-year Saturn-Jupiter cycle. Like that, they increased. Then they switched to 120 years. 120 years become 1200 years. 1200 years become 12,000 years. 12,000 multiplied by 360 is exactly 4.32 million Chatur Yuga. So this is not random. There is a method to it. Like from 20 years Chatur Yuga, you gradually increase to 60 years, 120 years, 1200 years. 1200 next jump is 4.32 million years. So this is complete multiplication table. And the Rama and Pandavas happened to live when it was around that 120-year Chatur Yuga system was in the active. So if you look at the actual difference between the birth of Rama and Krishna, it will be coming around 100 years. And technically, when I calculated, you can actually say they lived in 2 different adjacent yugas. That is, one is in the 3rd yuga and another one is in the reverse order 2nd yuga. Because we count from Kali, that is you have to understand. Kali means, when in the game of dice, that is exactly related to the Dyuta, because of which Draupadi was molested and all. So in the game of dice, you have Kali means 1, number 1. That die, in that dice now it's a 4-faced die, not the 6-faced die that we are using today. 4-faced die. In the 4th phase die, the single dot is called Kali. 2 dot means Dwapara. 3 dots means Treta. 4 dot means Krita. So these names of the yugas come from the game of dice. And it counting is from the younger yuga towards older yugas. So from counting from Kali, Sri Krishna was in Dwapara Yuga and Rama was in the Treta Yuga. What it means is that I am now sitting in Kali Yuga, Sri Krishna was in my previous Yuga and Rama was one more Yuga earlier. That is the meaning. So that way if you look at, they are 100 years apart but they are living in 2 different Yugas. Sri Krishna is in the adjacent Yuga, that is Dwapara Yuga, with respect to my timeline, and Rama is in the second, the old Yuga.
According to astrology and astronomy, there have been such precise details about Rama's birth that, he was a Cancer ascendant, Jupiter and Moon were in his first house.
Correct. So, I will tell about that. See, unfortunately, because I mentioned about the critical edition project, right, where all the verses related to Ramayana and Mahabharata are compared with all the manuscript versions available. So what happens is that the astronomy information inside the Mahabharata, they become part of the critical edition because they are older, they are ancient. So there is no need of rejecting them. It happened. In the Mahabharata critical edition, you have all the astronomy information. That is how we date the Kurukshetra war, based on the positions of the Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, all the planets and then stars, everything. That information about astronomy related to Kurukshetra war is perfect. That's all very ancient information. So that is already part of the critical edition. Unfortunately for Valmiki Ramayana, this particular information related to Rama's birth chart, Rama Jataka, is in the excised portion. That means this has found to be later edition. Somewhere they added in the Gupta period or some later period, because of which when they combine all the texts, it is not present in all the manuscript versions of the Valmiki Ramayana. Automatically that means it is added in one particular version separately without other versions knowing about it. So because of that 25 years of research on the Valmiki Ramayana text, the critical edition creation, they have declared this is a later edition. So as a researcher, I cannot use it. Of course, there are researchers who are using it, but they don't know about it. Because anywhere when you do a research, your primary step, that is what I did in contrast to other researchers, is that you vet the data. You have to evaluate whether the data is old enough before you take into consideration. So some researchers don't do that. They consider the Valmiki Ramayana, any version is okay. But then the problem will come is that once they start reading all the versions of the Valmiki Ramayana, they cannot pinpoint this particular Ramajataka in all the text because it's absent in many versions. That means when your evolution of Valmiki Ramayana happened, this is not an older information so that it is present in all the versions of the Valmiki Ramayana. It has added somewhere later period in the Gupta period. So you will have it only in some versions. So when you say that based on this Ramajataka, I dated the Rama's lifetime in so and so time, they will have a trouble because this particular verse itself is not there in another version. So how these people will start fighting each other. Show me the verse. No, people will say, no, show me the verse. So for some version, you don't see don't have the verse related to Ramajataka. So that means that research is in a very shaky ground.
So going back to Lanka, sir, what about Ram Setu then?
Yeah. So that's again, this was very painful for me in the book. Also, I have mentioned, you can read my book. When I talked about Rama Setu, I was talking it with a little painful because the evidence doesn't allow us to say that Rama Setu is the original bridge which is between Rama and the Lanka and the mainland. So what I understand is that the terminology Rama Setu is absent inside the Valmiki Ramayana. They use the term Nala Setu. Nala Setu means the main person in which the Setu is attributed is Nala. And Nala is mentioned as the son of Vishwakarma. And who is Vishwakarma? That is the terminology that our Itihasa Purana people use for Harappan engineers. The Vishwakarma means the universal doer, which means today's term, it is if you translate in today's terminology, it is engineer. That is the only meaning. Vishwakarma means an engineer. So Nala is the son of an engineer. That is the meaning. So again, when you look at that connection actually leading to the Harappan region. So wherever there are Harappan engineers, they are called Vishwakarma, Maya, all these terms are used for them. Because the Harappan that advanced, the building, they are very advanced in building construction, bridge construction, any kind of construction, they are very advanced. So the Harappan people are used by the people in the Ganga region. Rama is in Ganga, Sri Krishna is in that Mathura, he is in Ganga region, and Pandavas are in Ganga region. So these Gangatic people, whenever they need a kind of very advanced construction, they will use Harappan engineers. That is why Sri Rama, when we want to construct a bridge, he is getting the help of a Harappan engineer, the son of a Harappan engineer, of course. So Nala is basically a Harappan engineer. So again, that entire geography shift towards the northwest, towards this particular southern part of the Harappan civilization, that is Narmada. So when you look at from that point of view, Nala Setu, automatically it is connecting not with Sri Lanka, but it with this here with this Narmada and the southern Harappan region. Second, I explore how the name Sri Lanka came for the island, and there is a big surprise because the oldest name of this island is not Lanka. The oldest name of this island is Singhala and Tamraparni Dvipa.
Even Sarandeep.
So this Sarandeep is a slight modification of the Singhala Dvipa. Ceylon, again a modification of Singhala Dvipa. And Tamraparni is another older name. Mahabharata mentioned this island as Tamraparni and Singhala Dvipa. And if you look at the Greek records, the Greeks, because they are also navigators, no? The Greek navy came and they lived, they have a trade relationship with Chola Pandya Kerala. So there the name given to this island is Taparben, which is a rendering of Tamraparni. So even from Mauryan period, you have historical records of the name of this island. It is Tamraparni, that is the name. Nobody calls it Lanka. And the name Lanka came because there was after Gupta period, so there are certain Puranas are authored where they constructed a temple in Rameshwaram. There is a temple. For that they attributed to Sri Rama. And then there are so many temple Aithihyams, right? Temple Aithihyams are not always accurate. Sthala Puranas. For example, in Kerala, my state, there are caves dedicated to Hanuman, caves dedicated to Bhimasena. They will even say Pandavas lived the Ajnadavasa in this particular location in Kerala. So this is because of the love and affection that entire people in India, Bharatavarsha, they have towards the Pandavas and Rama. So in West Bengal, you see a place called Nandigram, and many Bengalis say the Bharata lived there. That is the Nandigram where Bharata lived. But it is emotionally correct because they are attaching towards Bharata, which is something good thing. But actual Nandigram is very close to Ayodhya. I can locate it. Even today, its name is Nandigrama. The name of the town is called Nandigrama. It is just 12 kilometers south of Ayodhya. And that matches with Valmiki Ramayana, that this 12 kilometers south of Ayodhya city, there is a town called Nandigram. This is where Bharata lived till the time Rama came back. The real Ajnadavasa happened in Matsya territory, that is the northeastern part of Rajasthan. There is a Birat Nagari there. That is where the Pandavas actually lived for 1 year incognito, Ajnadavas. But then all the states, in Kerala I have counted, in Andhra Pradesh I counted, there are places where they say Pandavas lived there as Ajnadavas. So this is because of the affection. And
what about, Uttarakhand of Ramayana, it is mentioned that Ravan goes to Yamapuri.
Yeah.
So where would this Yamapuri be?
The Yama is basically identified as the guardian of south. So if you want to understand, in my book I have located the Yamapuri to the south of the Bhagatrava island. Yamapuri can be considered as Mumbai, for example, because it is to the south of that Narmada river mouth. So any region to the south of Narmada mouth qualifies to be Yama.
So you're saying that it's still in the Indian subcontinent?
It is in the Indian subcontinent. See, there are certain researchers who will exaggerate this entire chronology. So when I look at in the Vanaras, there is 4 sargas in Valmiki Ramayana, where they mention that Sugriva mentioned in a future tense to the Vanaras, you should search Sita in this location. in eastern location, western location, northern location, southern location. So there is no actual search happening, right? But in subsequent sargas, you don't see actually these people going there. So that 4 sargas is a later addition inside the Valmiki Ramayana, and that search is only along Vindhya, no other place. Now I will tell what is there in the 4 sargas. So these 4 sargas are added during this Mauryan period. Some Mauryan king have done some expedition into all these places like Indonesia in the east. So he talks about the islands in the Jwalamukhi, that is Java island, everything is mentioned in that. So this expedition actually happened during the Mauryan period. And there is in the northern direction, this Mauryan expedition went up to Siberia. So up to Siberia geography is mentioned in the Valmiki Ramayana. And the western side they have went up to these mountains in Iran. And in southern direction, Kerala is mentioned. In that you can see some islands to the south of Kerala also is mentioned, that Mali, Dweep, everything. So you have to understand that this geography is present in the Valmiki Ramayana, but this geography is later added. We can't count it as part of contemporary to Rama's lifetime.
So
and some researchers, what it is, this is the original thing, and this is the Mauryan expedition. Some researchers will say that the west up to South America, they went up to South America and they try to identify some mountains in South America and say that Hanuman or Sugriva sent his Vanaras up to the South American island. But I don't subscribe to that, it's an exaggeration. Fortunately, in the northern side up to Siberia, nothing else is there, so there is no exaggeration there.
There are scholars who argue that, who say that Patal Lok is actually South America.